Welcome back to Core Cars News Tech Lab. Today we're going to be breaking down some breaking news. PBS and NPR are facing the loss of federal funding. This comes as the Trump administration signed an executive order to end public funding for PBS through the federal government. We'll break down what that means, what it means for the future of PBS and NPR, and more here in a quick second. First though, if you want to find a link to the story we're talking about, check out the show notes down below. Put a link to each story there so you can read them for yourself. Come up with your own opinions. I'd love to hear from you. If you like what we do here, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that thumbs up. Both let YouTube know you enjoy what we do here. We cover the world of cord cutting with daily videos, tips, tricks, reviews, and news breakdowns like this one. All right, let's dive into it. So for many years now, there's been a discussion about public funding for NPR and PBS. Now, let's be clear, especially on the PBS side, the public funding is a relatively small proportion. They get a lot of money from donations. I know they say ad-free. There's a lot of controversy in that because they run those kind of ad spots that say we're sponsored by at the end of shows. But they get a lot of money from that and from other state and local funding through colleges and different groups that help run these stations. But NPR released a statement about this. We'll start with this, then we'll go to PBS's. After Trump cut the funding, said we will vigorously defend our right to provide essential news, information, and life-saving services. And I think they're gearing up for a lawsuit here. Now, the Trump administration accuses them of bias and being unfair and taking federal money, but then using it for a personal agenda. I'm not going to get into that. That's the allegation. That's all I'm saying. PBS says, no, we're just a news organization. NPR says the same. And with PBS's CEO says this is a blatant and unlawful infringement on their free speech. Let's be honest, both sides are not going away anytime soon. NPR and PBS are both going to continue to operate for a while, even if they lose the federal funding. Well, yes, it's not the majority of their federal funding. It's a lot of money. If you lost 30-40% of your income, how would you be doing in your everyday life? It would be something you have to say, well, I got to tighten that belt. Or what are we going to do? Maybe we have to make some major changes. And I think that's what NPR PBS could be looking at, is major changes. In the long run, though, yeah, they could be a very serious issue, especially at local levels. I actually, not that long ago when I lived in Texas, had my local PBS station shut down. There was another one in Michigan that shut down also a few years ago. Would not surprise me to see other PBS stations just say it's not worth it without the federal money and shut down. Well, major cities like Chicago, New York, and others will have donors step up and maybe cover the costs. Other ones will struggle. Now, I will say there is an answer here. I do believe, looking at the budgets, that advertising, like you would see on ABC, CBS, Fox, and others, could easily cover the gap here. Now, that would bring up questions. The programs weren't designed for that. How do you break in commercials and other similar issues with it? So they do have options. But I will say this. I fully expect some type of legal lawsuit related to this to attempt to at least temporarily continue the funding as they fight through this through the courts. We'll see how that plays out in the long run. But PBS and NPR have long been in the crosshairs of many politicians who are looking to cut the budget, as why are we funding all this money into them with that? Are we getting a return on the investment that is there? We'll see what happens. PBS has in recent years become far more cord cutting friendly. It wasn't that long ago they were one of the few cable TV networks or over-the-air networks that were almost impossible to get streaming. Well, they've fixed that. You can get streaming through the app, and through Amazon Prime Video now offers streams of local PBS stations in most markets, along with things like PBS Kids and more. Plus, in the vast majority of Americans, just put up an antenna will get you PBS. NPR, also widely available across the country, and radio stations could be facing a similar fate. Many large NPR stations were probably very safe in their donor base without having to being able to make up the lost revenue. Smaller NPR stations in smaller markets will probably be hit harder, and we could see more NPR and PBS stations in smaller markets close. We'll keep a close eye on this, but mark my word, NPR and PBS are definitely going to feel this. It will definitely hurt the loss. Will it actually come into reality, or will courts stop it? only time will tell what judges will do on this one. But I think the chances of it going to court are extremely high from reading the PBS and NPR statements. Seems like they're gearing up for a legal fight here. We'll break down more of what's happening in the world of cord cutting in television. If you like videos like this, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. Doing one or both lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here. Until next time, take care, be safe. I'll be back again real soon.